Hey everyone, welcome to my studio. This week I'm working on a small mosaic for the Society of American Mosaic Artists 100 Moments in Mosaic exhibit. And I think it's going to travel to multiple places. I'm not exactly sure, but this is the substrate that they send out. It is called an Easy Mosaic Frame from Wits End Mosaics. It's sort of a kit. It comes with the Weddy board and D-rings. I thought there'd be options to put wire on here, but really I only have one option, which is to put a hanging hardware right here in the middle with the D-ring and not really wire it because there's not enough holes to do that. So that's what I did on the back. On the front, I have put, this is alkali resistant fiberglass mesh tape. And now I am going to tell you what my design will be. And the design that I'm going to do is a sunflower, because I have been making sunflowers. I feel like sunflowers are kind of my thing. And let me just show you some sunflowers that I've already done. This was one of the first sunflowers that I did, and the middle really protruded quite a bit. This one, I believe, was a Jerusalem gold. I did a series of 3 smaller ones. Then I did this big one, which I think measured 30 by 30. Here's another smaller one I did, I think 8 by 10. And then I did some that were on cutouts, a little more abstracted here and stylized. And here's another one with that. They all have textured middles. That's sort of a thing. So for this sunflower, what I'm going to do, I've kind of sketched it in pencil already, is sort of have the bottom be the center of the sunflower, and the sunflower maybe come out to about here, and the rest be sky. So it'll have petals, but they're going to mostly overlap, and then yeah, that'll be sky. So pretty simple. I'm going to use different material than I typically do for these sunflowers. I have been using a lot of stained glass, and instead for this one I want to have some texture that's not just in this center part but in all the petals. So I'm going to be using a smalti and a mix of Mexican and Italian, just whatever I have on hand. So let me get after it. I needed to use a Sharpie so I could see this better. I have mixed 2 different colors of thinset. This one is magenta and brown, and this one is just magenta. My colorants are from Rainbow Colorants. So anyway, I'm going to get after it. Here we go. it's worth stopping at this point and talking about the plans for the rest of it. So I had some leftover dark thinset, so I just placed it in there so that this middle part will be raised up a little bit when I get to it. For the sky, what I have planned is to just put some blue pieces in horizontally, but I am going to switch to a bright yellow thinset so that those pops of yellow tie into the petals, and it'll just be a little bit, sort of like the little bits of pink that you see here. And I think those pinks really brighten up the petals and sort of give them a little bit of vibration and life and energy. So I'm gonna get after that sky. I've got to mix up some thinset and get going on that next. This I probably won't tackle until tomorrow because I want to let that thinset harden up before I add on to the top of it. That's it. Some of the colorant, such as this yellow 3776, I have pre-mixed with thinset to a 10% concentration. And then that just allows me to very easily use it whenever I need it without having to worry about exceeding the 10%, because you don't want to exceed the 10%. It's the next day. This is nice and hard, and I have pre-cut some pieces of smalti into tiny squares in black, and then this mottled, and then some brown, and I have pre-selected some dark and red tones of Millefiori, and then I also have some brown filati, which I have not pre-cut because I'm not sure if I'll get that far. We'll see how far all this pre-cut stuff goes. I'm going to kind of go in order. This will be next to the outside, and then this one, and then this one, then the melee, and then this will be in the very center if there's room for it. And here's the fun part. I am using blue thinset. So there's gonna be little pops of blue that come through in there, and I can't wait to get it on. Let me get after it. love how this one turned out, you guys. When I look at it closely, I can see those bits of pink popping through. I can see the yellow and I can see the blue. But at a distance, you don't really notice it. It's just very vibrant. And another thing that really turned out nicely was just this little bit of red right here ties into the red there. I just love that little pop. And then a little bit of yellow there. I'm loving this one, but now I got to ship it off. That's it. That's putting it together. Thanks for watching. See you next time.